All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Oluwaseun Kodri. I am a cybersecurity analyst at Bencom Dev Center. So the topic for today is cybersecurity in our everyday life. Like, how safe are you really? So I'll be sharing my screen now for the presentation. Hello, guys. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so the topic for today, like I said earlier on, is cybersecurity in everyday life. How safe are you really? Now, I will be moving on to the next slide. So, starting with the introduction, I would like to ask us some questions like, have you ever received a suspicious link or a message that felt urgent or strange? Probably you received a WhatsApp message or you received a phishing link saying that you should click on a particular link in order to be able to gain access to the credentials or your login details. Or have you ever seen a message saying that what if your account has been compromised without you knowing? So there are some instances where we might see some links saying that okay, we need to like update our password, we need to like click on the link in order to be able to do some certain maybe perform a certain function or task. Now, this link, if for instance we click on that link and we provide our information, probably like our login information, our credentials, it means that we are falling into that trap of an attacker. So now, why this matters is because cybersecurity attacks are increasing in our everyday. Anyone, there's no exception in this kind of matter. Anyone can be a target, either being students, professionals, anyone. So it means that we have to protect our personal data because our personal data has value. You might be thinking that okay, I don't have anything that is valuable in my WhatsApp. Or if a person should gain access to your WhatsApp, the person can go on and be begging for money from everyone. And because of they feel that you are the person, like they do not know that it's like a kind of social engineering, like trying to like manipulate the other victim. So they will just think that okay, this is Shion, so they want to like try to like render the assistance, whereas it's the attacker or is the person that has gained an unauthorized access to your WhatsApp that will be getting all those things. So everything in terms of personal data, everything has value. Now, moving on to the definition of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is just like the ongoing practice of always protecting systems, networks, and data from digital attack. Reason why we say it's an ongoing practice is because, I mean, every day attackers come up with different strategies, different ways by which they try to like gain access to a particular um, information or a particular company or a particular organization. So cybersecurity is a constant practice and is an ongoing practice that we normally use to like protect systems, networks, and data from digital attacks. It helps keeps your personal information safe from attackers, hackers, and cyber criminals. So when you know the certain things that you're supposed to do and you are doing them, it will ensure that your personal information can be your login credentials to your mobile app, your mobile bank, your card details, your personal information, your personal identifiable information, which is also known as PII. So all those informations, it helps you to keep those information safe. It helps you to keep it at the right place so that you not leave it vulnerable from where attackers can be able to like, gain access to it. Now, going on to the common cyber attacks, I already mentioned it earlier on phishing. Phishing is a situation whereby you receive a fake message, probably on your email. It does not necessarily have to be just your email. Maybe you receive it in your like normal message saying that okay, click on this link, your account has been compromised. Click on this link to gain access back to your account. Then they'll be telling you that you have to put in your information in order for you to be able to gain access back or like have access back to your information or your application or your mobile app. All these things are also known as phishing. It's just like a fake message that is trying to like trick you to provide your information so that the attacker can gain access to your informations. Another common cyber threat is malware, which is an harmful software. A malware can be a worm, a virus, can be like a ransomware. When we say ransomware, probably if an attacker has gained access to your probably your laptop or the information on your laptop, the information on your laptop, and the person is trying to tell you to pay like a particular amount of money before the person can give you back access to the data or the information on your laptop. Now, a major cyber threat is making use of weak passwords. I mean, a lot of people are a victim of using their names and 1, 2, 3, 4. So with brute force attack, an attacker can easily guess that okay, this is going to be the password that this person is trying to like make use of. So we always try to encourage every one of us to make use of strong passwords, like making use of special characters, special cases like caps lock, like making use of let's say for instance the first alphabet might be in capital letter, the second one might be numbers, might be special characters. So it's always we always encourage people to make use of special characters. So should in case a particular attacker is trying to like make use of, when I say brute force is just like a scenario whereby an attacker is trying to like guess the possible password, your possible password. Like okay, the person will be, it's just like a guessing kind of thing. Like the person will be guessing that okay, how or what can be the information or the password that this person is making use of. Now, social engineering. When we say social engineering, it's just a means of manipulating people when you say manipulation of people, like okay, you're trying to like manipulate people that okay your let's say a person should receive a particular message saying that you have received a, a sum of 100,000 naira, but before you can be able to claim this sum of that, before you can be able to claim that sum of money, you have to like drop maybe like 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira. So a person, I mean, if a person should see that kind of thing, the person be like, ah, wow. So just to drop 10,000 naira or 5,000 naira and get a sum of 100,000 naira, I mean, there's nobody that would not want to get that kind of thing. So it is always encouraged that a lot of people should always try to know this common cyber threats. So I'll be handing over to Mr. James. Mr. James, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you, Kodri.
So I'll be handing over to Mr. James. You'll be taking from where I left off. So Mr. James, over to you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Kodri. Thank you for what you've taught us thus far. Thank you so much. My name is James Chuku. I'm a cybersecurity engineer, team lead cybersecurity in Bincom Dev Center. So I'll just be taking off from where Quadri has left, just talking around cybersecurity, and I'm quite sure that he has laid the foundation for the word cybersecurity. What we need to know, basically, the things that would actually help us, in our everyday movement, day to day life, whatever it is we do around life. Because the thing is, these days, everything you and I do is actually we spend quite a lot of our time online, right? So, but because of the fact that we spend quite a lot of our time online, we need to be a bit more careful about what it is that we consume online, what it is that we do, with our resources as well online. So, that's exactly one of the things that I've learned from what Kodri has taught us thus far. So, we will progress. So, Kodri, you would help me. You're still sharing the screen, so I guess I'll just take it off from here. So you can move to the next slide, Kodri, if you can hear me. Okay, yeah. Talking about phishing attacks, phishing, using fake emails to steal your personal information. They often look real and create urgency. Always verify before clicking any link. So, now I'm sure for some of us that may not know, that I believe you may have come across some forms that you want while you are trying to register those forms. You are asked to scan a QR code. Hear me? Or anyone here?
We can hear you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. So, you are asked to scan a QR code. I'm sure you've seen that quite a lot of times where you're about to fill a form, and then in some cases, you might not just do the regular thing or filling the form the regular way. You are asked to scan a QR code. Now, have you ever thought of it that the QR code that you are scanning, right? You can actually get a phishing attack via the QR code that you are actually scanning, right? Because ideally, when you scan the QR code, what exactly does it do for you? When you scan the QR code, a link pops up, right? When you tap on that link, what does it do? It redirects you to maybe the form that you are meant to fill and all of that, or the information that you desire. That's what that QR code does for you. Now, like I said, QR code has also become one of the avenues, for phishing attack. You scan the QR code, and then the link pops up for you to tap on the link. You tap on the link, and it directs you to, or it redirects you to a particular fake site or a fake form. And then once it redirects you to that form, I mean, you fill all of those form, assuming or believing that you're filling the accurate form you're meant to fill, and then you're already open for attack. All of your personal informations are stolen. So you can see that phishing attack these days comes in different way. Also, um, these days as well, it is also we've also found out that okay, quite a lot of people use AI right now to craft phishing emails. Now, when they use AI to craft phishing emails, it appears 100% real. When it appears 100% real, and then you follow suit. I mean, you follow the link, you tap.
Hello, sir. Can't hear you again, and your screen is no longer visible.
Hello, Mr. James. Hello, sir.
If his network is bad, even I can't even hear you.
Yeah. Let's wait a few minutes to see if he will join back. If he does not, I'll just continue from where it stopped.
All right, no problem.
Okay, let me just continue pending the time it comes. So from what Mr. James said, he said that now like this now, a lot of people have started making use of AI to craft emails that even appears legitimate. Like, okay, you can see an email, you can see an email, and you might not even be able to differentiate the difference between um, what's it called, an email from an authentic source or the email. Like, you might not be able
Please,
to.
can you hear me now?
Okay.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, everyone. Please, um, just a network glitch. So, Kodri, can you keep sharing the screen? Or perhaps you're still sharing it, but I'm not seeing it.
Can you see the screen now?
Yeah, it's coming up.
Hello, guys. Please confirm if you can see my screen.
Using them. Now you scan your QR code, and these days you scan your
Yes,
QR code,
yes.
and you never knew that. And you never knew that you are actually set up for an attack. And also, people, like I said, use AI these days to craft phishing emails. When they use AI to craft phishing emails, they send them out to their exact targets because they use AI as well to determine who their target would be. And then once they determine who their target would be, they use the AI craft phishing emails and they send them all out. And then they appear to be real. And then quite a lot of people click on them and their informations are stolen. Right. So these are some of the examples of phishing attacks, especially the ones that have become very much advanced in this particular era. You can move to the next slide, Audrey. Audrey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I've moved to the next slide, sir.
Oh, guess my network is just lagging. I'm not currently viewing the next slide. Okay, give me an idea. What's the next slide about? Because I'm still okay. Weak passwords.
Weak
Okay.
passwords. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. Now let me talking around them weak passwords. Do you know that I've seen most of this kind of experiences here and there because most times now let's take for example this. I want to relate this to quite a lot of people that work in organizations. Now, when you join an organization, most often or more likely than not, you have an official email that is set up for you. Now, your official email that is set up for you in some organizations, maybe in a larger organization, you have the sysadmins to do that. The system administrators are the one, especially the junior sysadmins. They are the ones who are, you know, who have that responsibility to do that. Now, in most of these cases, do you know that when the sysadmin is setting up official email for you most times. They could just use a generic password, maybe 123 ABC XYZ and all of those things. Now there are people who now they maintain that same password, right? Now when they maintain that same password, ordinarily that shouldn't be the right practice. The actual practice is that you're obviously going to change that password, right, to a more complex password with complex characters as well. But most times, or in some cases, people forget to do this. So they maintain the same password. And when they maintain the same password, and also they forget as well why they grew in the organization, they are still maintaining that same official email, right? But they've grown in the organization. They are now handling not just more complex tasks, but more sensitive information, more of the organization sensitive information, forgetting the fact that they've not changed the same password that they were using. So what do you think happens? Now, if an attack would want, perhaps an attack is launched at the organization, it could just be through staff's official email, and then they're able to get through, right, by just doing what might not even just brute forcing per se. They just guess your password and that is it. They are in already, right? So these things are part of the problems that is happening these days when talk about weak password. That's why for some, if you are handling some maybe you're registering some forms and all of that, Google suggests quite complex passwords for you, right? So, but people, I know sometimes people, because it's quite complex, so they don't want to handle it might take them some time to remember and all of that. So now weak password has proven to be one of, if you check your OAPS top 10, right? OAPS top 10, which are some of the most critical, vulnerable, risk that people encounter these days with respect to cybersecurity. One of them is weak passwords. So weak passwords is something that has to, that's something that we must consciously ensure that we do not fall into that particular trap. Move to the next one. Public Wi-Fi risk. Now, when we talk about public Wi-Fi risk, the people also fall into this trap in the sense that you go to malls, you go to public environment, right? And they have a free Wi-Fi there. They tell you, okay, you have a free Wi-Fi, you can use a free Wi-Fi. Now, most times people don't understand that that's even a risk, not because the organization offering you the free Wi-Fi want to set you up for a risk. They are offering you customer service, right? They want you to remain within their facility, buy their products and enjoy. But unknowing to them, you are already set up for an attack. Why? You could also be set up for a man in the middle attack, right? Somebody is sitting in the organization's network without you knowing. So while you're connecting to the organization's Wi-Fi, right? Especially the free Wi-Fi now, not your organization where you work per se. Free Wi-Fi, you go to the mall. Now, when you are connecting to that, a man in the middle is actually stealing most of your data. So sometimes people are not aware of this, and this is also part of the problems that is encountered as well. You can move to the next slide so that I can talk on that slide, and then I'll allow the next speaker to come on board. You can move to the next slide, Audrey. Social engineering. Now, social engineering is just simple. It's just about tricking you into releasing information that you ordinarily would not do. That's what social engineering is all about. Somebody calls you and tells you that, okay, CBN is currently now CBN, for those who are Nigerian, CBN is actually, oh sorry, those who are not Nigerian on the call, CBN is actually the central bank of Nigeria, right? That they have asked everybody to validate their information to the commercial banks. So, and then, hackers or, perpetrators of this sort of acts, they leverage on this. They begin to make random calls and tell people that, okay, now central bank has ordered, or I work with so and so bank, and we've been asked to update the customer records. So for there, they begin to ask you some informations. And once you start revealing those informations, you already set yourself up for an attack by not just stealing your information, but invading your entire bank account and stealing most of your monies, right? So that's how social engineering works. So, and social engineering is more psychological. They just work on your psychology, and then you begin to reveal informations that you are not meant to review. So that's why it's always very important you verify identities before sharing information. Somebody cannot call you from your bank and tell you to release informations. Maybe informations within your ATM card or some sort of informations, and you release them. Not ideal for you to do that. So, lastly, how to stay safe. network security, protect your network so you can avoid public or Wi-Fi for sensitive information, cloud protection, enable your two-factor authentication, avoid clicking on suspicious links, and then use strong password to keep your devices updated. That's for endpoint device. Thank you very much, Quadri, for the time. So I guess the next speaker can actually take over from here, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So,
Thank
thank you
you.
for that interactive session, Mr. James. So, our next speaker for today is Mr. Abdurrahman. Mr. Abdurrahman, please confirm if you can hear me, sir.
Yes, I can hear you,
Mr.
Mr.
Abdurrahman,
Oluwaseun. Yes, I can hear
please
you.
can you proceed to share your screen?
All right, come on. So, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can
Yes,
see your
please, you can
screen,
see,
sir.
can see your screen.
All right. I'm trying to share my slide with you. Can you see my slide?
Not yet, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes or not? Like my slide, I mean my
No, not
slide.
yet. Yes, we can see it now. We can see it now, sir.
All right.
Yes, we can see your slide.
you can see it.
All right. So, good day, everyone. My name is Olabimisi Abdurrahman. I'm an infrastructure and cybersecurity engineer at Codeline Digital. It's about 2 years experience in cybersecurity. So I'm here today to talk about cybersecurity in everyday life. How safe are you really? Meaning, are we really safe in our cybersecurity everyday life? So before I proceed, I would like to thank Bincom Dev Center for this beautiful opportunity and Mr. Oluwaseun for reaching out to me. So starting, I would like to ask what is cybersecurity? I would like to talk about what cybersecurity really is all about. So cybersecurity is often defined in its technical terms, but let's simplify it. Cybersecurity is a way that actually matters. It's a way that's about protecting ourselves, protecting our digital assets, and protecting our valuables on the cyberspace, on the internet, and thereabouts. So moving on, what's cybersecurity is based on protecting three core values, which in the cyber environment they are known as the CIA triad. So what are the CIA triad? The CIA triad means confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So what's confidentiality? Confidentiality means
Hello,
ensuring.
Mr. Abdurrahman. Sorry, you just left the other slide. I just wanted to call attention to that, sir.
I'm coming. Okay, sorry. Can you see me now? Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can see it.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we
The
can see
current
your
one,
slide.
Alright.
yes.
All right. So the CIA triad are confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So what is confidentiality? Confidentiality means ensuring our data, our information, our valuables, anything that has value to us at all, our assets, cannot be accessible or cannot be seen by people who we do not give access, or people that are not authorized. For instance, if I have a document, if I have an information in the document, or let me say my private chat, let me use relatable example like a WhatsApp. No one except the person I'm chatting with, or no one except the person I give access to my computer should be able to view the information I have in my document and stuff like that. That's basically what confidentiality is all about. And what is integrity? Integrity means ensuring that our data is not altered, even when we are not, even when the data is at rest. Because we have three states of data. We have data at rest, data in transit, and data in use. So integrity means ensuring even while data is at rest, meaning when we are not using it, our data remain exactly the same thing. For instance, if I should leave my bank account as 20,000 naira, I should be able to go back there 2 hours later and meet my 20,000 naira and not 5,000 naira. Even though everybody would like to see more money in their account, but that's just by the way. And the last thing, which is availability. Availability means having access to our data whenever we need it. Meaning, even if I wake up 12 a.m., 2 a.m., and I need a data, or I need an information on my document, I need to transfer money out of my account, I should be able to do it without any inconvenience. I should without any stress. That is what availability is all about. So, moving on, I hope you can still see my screen.
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So moving on to the real battlefield of cybersecurity. The real battlefield of cybersecurity have you guys have mentioned earlier is the human psychology, because which is also known as social engineering. Because these days attackers don't really ask how do I hack a system, or how do I run this command, how do I do this, how do I do this. What they actually make sure they do is how do I make this person give me access without them even noticing. Because the most vulnerable part of anything is human. You can update you can update a patch, you can install a malware, an IPS, an IDS, all of that. But just one person revealing the credentials or doing what he or she is not supposed to do is all an attacker needs to perform a successful attack. So the human psychology, attacker exploits one of these things when trying to attack, which are urgency, fear, trust, and authority. Urgency in the sense that people tends to rush, people they don't calm down to validate things. For instance, most of the time when you just see a notification pop up on your phone, or let me say an SMS, most times people don't even calm down. They just click on links, go through everything, just going through without carefully analyzing things. And talking about fear, sometimes an attacker might send you a phishing message, like maybe your account will be blocked soon. For example, and you have a lot of money in that account, you'll be scared that my money should not go and stuff like that. Then out of fear, people tend to click links, people tend to reveal information that are not supposed to be revealed. And another thing is authority that Mr. James talks about earlier. For instance, when you get a call from, let me say, like a call disguising as calling from your bank and stuff like that, saying, "Oh, we need to update your data. We need to do this. We need to do that. You need to an OTP will be sent to you." People tend to trust authorities because they feel that okay, anyhow, just anyhow person cannot just call me to ask for my OTP and stuff like that. And just by revealing information that you are not supposed to reveal, your account might be compromised. You might lose your data, your money, and stuff like that. So I would say the biggest vulnerability in cybersecurity is actually not your device. I would say the biggest vulnerability in cybersecurity is human behavior. For instance, let me talk about the relatable cyber threats that we have around us in Nigeria nowadays. In Nigeria today, cyber threats don't always look like hacking, like the way, like the way we see hacking in movies and stuff like that. Some guys with hoodie, some people writing big code and stuff like that. Cybersecurity is actually not in our present world today. Cybersecurity is not always like that. For instance, now one of the most common ones that we have in Nigeria today is this OTP fraud. Like I explained earlier, you might just receive a message that okay, or during a call, which is known as phishing, because I think for text messages is known as message fraud is known as phishing. Why through the voice call? You can just receive a call like saying we are calling from your bank, this, that, and you need to provide your OTP and stuff like that. And if you do not calm down, try to understand if it is, try to validate and try to verify if the call is actually true, and you went ahead to proceed and went ahead to provide your OTP. Just by doing that, you might lose your data, your account being compromised, lose your money and stuff like that. Another thing is this WhatsApp account takeover. I think this one is really familiar. This one is really rampant these days, whereby an attacker will take over someone's WhatsApp account, then they will text one of their maybe like, let's say, friends, their family or anybody, requesting for money, disguising like they need help, they need this, they need money urgently and stuff like that. In most cases, a lot of people fall for this kind of trick because they tend to trust one of the human psychology that I spoke about earlier, which is trust. They'll be like, oh, this person should not be asking me for money if if it is not urgent, if it is not important, if it is not this and that. So they tend to send money, they tend to do like, because they trust the person, because they do not expect that kind of behavior from that kind of person. They tend to do whatever the attacker asks, not knowing the the victim's account has been taken over. So another thing, moving on, why this attack works all the time. Talking about why all this attack works all the time. The reason why most of this attack works most of the time is because of speed overthinking, which I explained earlier, which is urgency. People react before they analyze. People act before they think most of the time. People tends to do, when they see something, click it. When they see a link, click on it directly without analyzing, without verifying if it is actually true, if it is actually if it is actually from a legit source. Because sometimes, as Mr. James said earlier, with the use of AI and stuff these days, an attacker might compose an email that, if you are not careful, the difference between the legit email and the fraudulent email might just be a single character that you might not even notice. So if you do not come down to analyze, to think and check and verify, you will just fall victim of these kind of things, and before you know it, you lose your data, you lose your valuables and your assets. Another thing is familiar pattern message look, familiar patterns of message. When you see like an SMS, like saying you just want this for, let's say, maybe you want this amount of data from Airtel, sorry. So most of the time you feel like, I used to get this kind of message very well. People tends to just act immediately because they feel the pattern of message they receive is usual from the one they usual is identical to the type of message they usually receive from time to time. So another thing is digital fatigue to many notification. When you have too many notification, for example, you've not been online for, let's say, an hour or a couple of hours, they on your data, when messages pops in and you have multiple messages. So sometimes people pay less attention to verifying these messages and then fall victim to these attacks. And that thing, which is very important to talk about is false confidence. A lot of people have this mindset of this thing cannot happen to me. I'm too smart for this. I'm too exposed for this kind of stuff. This kind of things cannot happen to me. But that, but the problem is that attackers invent new ideas, come up with new strategies every day. Because when you are thinking, you know this, you know that, you know that, what of something that you do not know, something that you've not experienced before, something you've not encountered before? When you are too confident, when you have too much confidence, an attacker can exploit this behavior, which I talked about earlier, that human behavior, the most vulnerable thing is human behavior. When you have too much confidence in yourself that this kind of stuff cannot happen to you, an, an attacker would an attacker can exploit this behavior, then before you know it, you fall victim of the trick, you lose your data, and you lose your valuables. So moving on, what are the practical defenses to all of these things that I just mentioned earlier? So the first defense against one of these things is behavioral pause before clicking, which I've been talking about. Before you do anything, always pause, verify, ask yourself, is this actually legit? Sometimes you can even copy the mail, you can copy the link, copy it. For example, let me say you get a mail from the let me say from a party that looks trusted. You can copy the mail, check online. There will be people, there are always people who have folks who have had similar experience to your own. Copy the mail, copy the message, ask online, ask people around you, try to verify everything. Because if you are not careful, just a single, you don't even, sometimes you don't even need to use your credential on the site, on the fake site. You don't even need, just by clicking on it, your account might be compromised, your device might be compromised, and before you know it, you might lose access. Sorry, might lose access to your device, lose access to your account, and all of that. Another thing is access control. Access control in the sense that ensuring you have strong password and different passwords, and using different password for different application, different systems, different websites. Because when you have a very easy password, sometimes a password might not even take an attacker up to an hour before they can be able to crack it, because you have a very easy password. But when you have a very strong password, like Mr. Oluwaseun talked about earlier, when you have uppercase, lowercase, special characters, and lengthy password, before an attacker can be able to crack it or guess that kind of password, it will take a lot of time. And for an attacker to waste, and from an, let me say, from an attacking perspective, no one would want to waste that amount of time and resources cracking just one password, except if it's actually worth it. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. So another thing is using different password for different things. When you use the same password for all your accounts, all your mobile application, anything whatsoever, when you use the same password, it's just as if you having a single key for an entire empire. Because just by having access to that one key, you can access anywhere without getting caught. So that is just exactly the same thing as using the same password across multiple applications. When you use the same password everywhere, just a single compromise of a password, you can lose multiple things, you can lose multiple datas, lot of money, even reputation. You can lose all of this. Another thing that we'll talk about is authentication. Always ensure that you have multi-factor authentication, be it your bank application, be it your mobile devices. These days, we have multi-factor authentication apps. We have Google Authenticator. We have Microsoft Authenticator. A lot of it like that, because what Authenticator does is that even if one form of authentication is compromised, an attacker still need another form of authentication for them to gain access to your devices, to your application, and all of this. For instance, let me say you use something you know and something you are. Something you know like your password and something you are like your fingerprint or your facial recognition. Even if you use weak password, which is not advised, but let's say you use a weak password, an attacker was able to compromise your password. But because the attacker cannot compromise your facial recognition or your fingerprints, the attacker will not be able to access your application, your data, your valuable asset, and stuff like that. And another thing that we'll talk about is device hygiene. A lot of people don't see this as something that is so serious, but it is very, very serious. Device hygiene in the sense of app updates, your software updates, your mobile device updates. For instance, for example, let me say you are using an iPhone, for instance, try as much as possible to get your phone updated as soon as Apple updates their device. Because as soon as an update is released, attackers tends to go around, check those, okay, what does this company updated, what do they provide patch on? Then they try to find an exploit for all of those things, then try to find a victim who has a device, a software, or an application that has not been updated. So imagine you do not have update on your device, you do not have update on your mobile application and stuff like that. It will be very, very easy for an attacker to take over your account, compromise your data, or steal information or steal your money even. So moving on, I will be asking some question like, have you ever clicked a suspicious link, or have you ever ignored a security warning, like a security update and stuff, or have you ever used the same password across multiple platforms? Because I would say that is exactly how attackers succeed with their with their um with their intention or with their aim. Because if you are the type that do all of these things, I would like to share with you the real cost of these cyber insecurities. If you are the type that do this stuff like click link without verifying, ignore security warnings, and use same password, some of the costs that you might face is loss of identity. For instance, let me say an attacker was able to compromise your social media account. Let me say your LinkedIn account. Then attacker use your identity to post fake job application, post fake opportunities, or even went as far as exploiting people, manipulating people to gain money or financial benefits by false pretense. So as a result of this, people who are following you, people who are close to you, people who trust you will tend to lose trust in you. And because of this, you will tend to lose your reputation. And when you lose your reputation, when you lose your trust, your identity is used without your consent. It might take years. You might not even be able to recover the reputational damage that the attacker might cause on your behalf. So, talking about the future, why all of this matters, why cybersecurity in our everyday life, why does it matter? It matters because everything now is now digital. When we want to make payments, we make payment online, we do things online, we stream online, we purchase things online, we input our personal data almost every day online. So the more we do all of these things, the more information we put out there for an attacker to exploit. So if we are not aware of all of these things, the more exposed we are, the more vulnerable we are to an attacker. So what are my final thoughts? My final thoughts that I will leave you with is that cybersecurity is not about being afraid. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to panic or anything. Cybersecurity is all about being aware of your surrounding, be aware of threats, being aware of the cyber environment, being aware of the internet, that not every message is real, not every call is legitimate, and not every request is safe. So before you act on anything, before you do anything, you have to pause, think, verify, and be sure that what you are about to do will not lead to your account being compromised, will not lead to your data being lost, or your reputation being damaged. Because in today's world, your digital life is your real life, and protecting it starts with you. So I would like to say thank you to everyone, to Mr. Oluwaseun for bringing me up here, and to Devs, Bincom Dev Center for providing this opportunity and this platform. So, Mr. Sheung, I would like to um, um, move. I think this is the end for my presentation. I would like you to move forward from where I stop.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdurrahman, for that structured and well interactive session. Thank you for breaking down what cybersecurity means and how to enable us to make use of make use of cybersecurity in our day-to-day life. I mean, I believe every one of us would have gotten or have taken one or two from what Mr. Abdurrahman has said. So I don't know if anyone has any questions for Mr. Abdul. Please, we are ready to entertain questions. Do you have any questions for Mr. Abdurrahman? Hello, everyone. Is there any question?
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
Yes, go on. You can ask a question. Yes. Yes, you can ask a question.
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation. It was very informative. I've learned a few things from the things you said. So my question is, what are some of the measures we can take as individuals and as, by extension, a part of an organization to be more aware and more alive to cyber threats out there?
If I get your question correctly, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
You mean, what are some of the measures we can take as individual to be more aware of cyber threats?
Yes.
So, one of the things we can do to be more aware of cyber threats is, number one, to learn to recognize attacking pattern. We should stay informed. For example, a lot of people tends to ignore, let's say, topics about cyber. For instance, like the platform we are now, that we are talking about cybersecurity in our everyday life. These are the type of things that we should tends to learn from, because a lot of people don't know that even is a simple click on a phishing link can lead to your account being compromised. So another thing that we should always do is be careful of what we share online. For instance, let's say your phone number, your personal details like date of birth, your traveling plans and stuff like that. Sometimes there's some kind of attack that sometimes attacker used to chain one attack, then chain one evidence to another. Maybe something you post on your social media last week, something you post this week, something you post 2 months ago, then you don't know. You think those things are harmless. But because an attacker who has a motive, who knows what he or she is doing, will try to link and chain all of this evidence together. And before you know it, your account might get compromised. Even from what you post, things that you talk about, you might end up sharing what you are not supposed to share about yourself, your organization, or people around you. And also, we should tend to use strong password, like
Who's
I
that?
said earlier.
What?
Because, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Uh,
you.
So, because a lot of people will be like, ah, man, I can't cram too much password. I can't remember. I will forget. I will do this. I will do that. That is why we have things like password managers. We have vaults today that can help you store your passphrase, help you store your password, help you store all of these things. Because when you feel like you don't want to do all of these stress and all of these things, you're just creating a wider attacking surface for an attacker to exploit. So another thing is making sure you are enabling two-factor authentication. And the last thing that will mention is being conscious of your environment, especially in this Nigeria that we are. Fraud is now very, very rampant. Almost everybody wants to scam you on the streets. So you have to be very, very conscious of your environment and everything around you. So I hope I've been able to answer your question regarding the measures that we can take as an individual regarding cyber threats.
Yes, you've been able to answer. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Mr. Anthony, do you have a question? Please, if you do, we can proceed with your question, sir. Hello, Mr. Anthony. Your hand is raised up. Do you have a question? Mr. Ogolua, do you have a question as well?
Oh, yes. Good morning or good afternoon, rather.
Good
My
afternoon,
question is
sir.
actually, yeah, can I go ahead with my question?
Yeah, you can go ahead, sir.
Okay, so my question is actually directed towards Mr. James. So my question is that earlier on, he mentioned that weak password is part of OWASP top 10, if I'm right. So I want him to enlighten us on the other ones. I want him to enlighten us on the other OWASP top 10. So, Mr. James, did you get
Okay,
that?
is the question directed to Mr. Abdurrahman or to Mr. James?
Mr. James.
Mr. James.
Yeah, he mentioned that earlier when he was speaking.
Mr. James,
So
sorry,
I
did
want
you
him
get
to
that?
enlighten us. Is he still on the
Mr.
call?
James? Yeah, he's on the call.
Okay. I'm not sure he was
Yeah,
listening.
he just left. Maybe you should just wait for Mr. James.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
No problem.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm not sure I got that because I think it's just acting all of this afternoon. But
Okay,
maybe you
sorry,
could repeat the question.
Mr. Ogolua, please can you repeat your question for Mr. James?
Okay, my question is that earlier on you mentioned weak password being part of the OWASP top 10. So I want you to enlighten us on the other ones.
Okay, all right.
Did you get
Thank you.
that?
I got that. Yeah, I got
Yes,
that
sir.
about the OWASP top 10, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, now when we talk about the OWASP top 10, we're actually looking at the top 10 most critical risk or vulnerabilities, right, that is experienced over time. And then I've talked about weak password. let me talk about another one: broken access control. Now, when you have problem with access control, when there's no structured way to control access, now that can be a problem. How do I mean by that? Now, do you know that, let's assume you work in an organization, right? And then in an organization, everybody have access to different things that they do based on the role that they have, based on the occupation, based on what they do exactly in the organization. They have different roles. Now, take for instance, if you and I are working in an organization, right? And if you are about to work on a particular project, for instance, now, and you are added to that project. Now, when you're added to that project, based on the kind of task you are going to be handling, you can get an elevated role, right? What I mean by that is that maybe you are going to be working on a server, right? You could have a studio privilege on that server to allow for you to be able to handle your task, especially if it requires a pseudo privilege. Now, if you do not require a pseudo privilege, you will not need to have that. That's an elevated privilege on the server. Now, take for instance, we ask you, or you are given an elevated privilege on the server, and after you are done with that, and that privilege was not downgraded, and you remain with that same privilege, even when you're no longer working on that task. Now, that gives you that's an example of a problem with access control, right? Your access was not controlled properly, so you remain, with an elevated privilege on the server, and with that you're able to have access to different other things as well, which can also make the organization to have vulnerability. Now, another thing is injection, right? When we say injection, your command line injection, your SQL injection, this is basically situations where an attacker could run a command against an application so as to have access in that application, right? An attacker could run a command in an application. Once it does that, the application, the command, which is actually in form of an injection, sits within that application, and you as a user comes to use that application. Now, the command, which at this point in time is a vulnerability, begins to manifest itself in your own user section or your browser section. Now, that's that. You can also have something like insecure design. Insecure design comes around where people design software but do not design them securely. They don't design them properly, right? Within their code base is not well secure, right? Some other maybe some access keys, secret keys, environment variables are left hard coded within their repository. Now, that's an example of insecure design. Security misconfigurations as also an example, right? Security misconfiguration, opening your S3 bucket, allowing some of your maybe like your database port is left open, your HTTP port is left open when ordinarily they should not, because normally if you're having a properly designed architecture, you are not meant to have your application server listening to the internet. Your application server should not be accessible on the internet from the internet rather. Your database server should not be accessible from the internet direct, right? That's why you implement things like your network access control list, right? So now these are just example. They are a bit more than that, but for the sake of time, I decided to just drop those kind of example. Another thing again, which forms part of the OWASP top 10, is lack of security monitoring, right? Security logging and monitoring failure, for instance, when you don't have a system that is able to monitor your entire IT infrastructure. You don't have a system that is capable of monitoring your applications, your server, to even know when there's a problem, to even know when there's an issue, right? Maybe there's an attack going on, or you have a man in the middle attack, and you're not even aware because why? You don't have technologies, you are not implemented tools to be able to monitor them. So these are some of the things that make up for your OWASP top 10. Right. So, and like I said, OWASP top 10 are the major critical vulnerabilities, that occurs within the IT space as a whole. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for the response.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Ogulua.
Yes,
I hope Mr.
Mr.
James has been able to do justice to the question.
Yeah,
So, Mr.
absolutely.
Anthony, do you have a question? I can't really hear you. Your voice is kind of faint. Can't really hear what you're saying. I don't know. I don't know. Am I the only one that is not hearing Mr. Anthony?
We can't hear him too. His voice is
Yeah.
thin.
His voice is very thin.
Hello, Mr. Anthony. Please, you probably should put your mouth closer to the speaker so we can hear what you are saying.
Can you hear me now? Maybe it's my network. I don't know.
Mr. Anthony, did you get that? We can't hear what you are saying.
Maybe it's my network. I don't know.
Maybe you should use the
All
chat
right.
instead.
Do we have any other question? So in the absence of no further questions, thank you, Mr. Abdurrahman. I know that the call was on a short notice. Thank you for answering to the call. We at Bincom Dev Center, we appreciate you for your time and your well-structured presentation. And thank you all for attending the cybersecurity meetup. We hope to have more of this and more interactive and insightful presentation in the future. Thank you. Thank you all for joining.